Oh, we've got Phil starting us off again because, yeah, I don't know. Hey, Restream, I'm looking at you. I don't know what changes you made in the last couple of weeks, but they're not user friendly. But aside from that, what we have here, I think, is a perfect topic because I'm like, ah! And so we need to have Christine Bernat here, who is an expert in managing anxiety and creating calmness through her proven techniques. And we've also got Phil up here, who is the wonderful co-founder of Helpopedia, who just has this calming presence and energy. He doesn't get rattled. Phil even saw me at my best this morning where I was like, hair on fire because the flyer I'd been working on all weekend, it blew up. It was there, we looked at it, and then it was gone. So I don't know what happened, but this is why we need tips to find calmness in our life. So Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura Lynn. Thank you, Phil. I'm super excited to help people find their inner calmness because I was not a calm mom. And I can share that, I don't know, in 2016, 17, when my life was going down the tubes, I said to my son, I said, oh, your sister says I'm dramatic. And he says, Mom, you're not dramatic. You're neurotic.
That's honest.
He's honest. He's always been honest, which, when you get honesty, you can deal with it.
Right.
Right? It's one of those awesome things. One of these things I love about my son is he'll give me the give it to me straight. My daughter does the same thing because they know that that's what I want. They know that if they give me their honest truth, whether I like it or not, I'm going to self-regulate so I don't blow up, so I don't, overreact, and so that I can just, oh, really? While I'm self-regulating, so I can just stay calm and be present, grounded mom that they need. They don't need somebody flipping and getting angry and yelling at them and telling them they're not good enough, whatever it is that we do as parents or even as employees, employers, right? There's all this as teachers. It's really, really a big thing. So I wanted to ask you, what is your first reaction when a child, loved one, or employee doesn't do what you want?
You want me to go or Phil?
Go ahead. Go, Laura Lynn, then we'll ask Phil.
So when I see that they don't ask what I want, I think, well, was I unclear? Did I ask something that was ambiguous? Is it too hard that I've asked them? Like, why the resistance? I don't get angry about them resisting. I really immediately go to why. Like, what did I do wrong that didn't get them dialed in?
Beautiful. Phil?
Yeah, the same thing is, and certainly it's the presentation so everything's about preparation. And so if you're asking a family member, if you're asking a friend, if you're asking an employer or employee, you're asking for something, you've got to make sure it's communicatively clear what it is you're asking for, because absolutely communication is one of the challenges that we face as humans, because there's only 5 million words to choose from. and the world of jargon is overemphasized, and when you're receiving information, you can receive it differently, the tone that you're sharing. And so if you're in a good mindset, and especially if it's a big ask, and or if it's a first time ask, like it's not take out the garbage please, because we've had that conversation before.
Yeah.
Especially new requests you should be mindful of. You're asking something new. It may go longer than you expect, and you have to anticipate that they're going to say no or ask questions. And so this is really a mindset readiness, as opposed to just going through life and just asking for lots of things from people and just expect it done the way you want it to.
Beautiful, beautiful. So some people, like you're able to stay calm because when you have that life experience and your kids are old now and you've done a lot of training. But if you're someone who's easily able to stay calm, centered, and grateful, like you do, for the other amazing things you're doing in your life, then you're doing amazing, right? But what if you don't? What do you do? And how do you change that aspect of your life? Now, change is something that adults don't like to hear, and it's okay. I found some information on emotional intelligence. So, according to the Oxford Dictionary, it's the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathically. So, what both of you gave me was that. What I said at the beginning with my beautiful children, neurotic mom, that was the low emotional intelligence. So, according to the national news today, having a low emotional intelligence, EI or EQ, means that the person has difficulty recognizing, understanding, um, and reacting appropriately to their own and others' emotions. So we can all think of someone, right, that we know that does this. And I have a beautiful example of my sister who came, and I'd say something. I would even give a fact, and her first answer was no. I was like, okay. So I practiced a lot of self regulating. And then when she was done giving all her explanation, her theory, whatever, she would say, don't you think? And then I'd say, well, no. No, I wouldn't start with no.
Actually, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I
Right?
don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very interesting, and this is something that is generational in my family. My mom does this, my sister does this. I used to do this all the time for standing. Nope. Just a sec. Let's just breathe. Can we breathe first? Can we just get centered and grounded? And I love how Dr. Jennifer Fraser names the brain architecture. So if the main post in your frame is not there holding the architecture, what happens? I mean, that's when you get angry, that's when you get frustrated, overwhelmed, anxious, etc. Because your brain isn't wired properly to feel safe, centered, and grounded. So she wrote The Bully Brain, Heal Your Scars and Restore Your Health. If you're looking for an amazing book to read to understand how your brain is functioning because you're flipping the switch too fast, getting angry like this, and you don't know, I really loved reading her book this spring. So I looked at the 5 key components by Daniel Goleman, and he breaks it down to self awareness. And someone with a high EQ has the ability to notice the other person is not understanding in the conversation and they apologize and start again. So that's what you were both naming earlier. So, yay. Awesome. Here we go.
Smart, Phil.
Yeah. Somebody with a low EQ is a person um, talking about, accuses the listener of not paying attention.
Mhm.
You weren't paying attention. I told you, have you heard parents say that or employers, employees, between each other, of course. So there's this disconnection from the present moment. So you'll see later on in my 7 steps to calmness how you can reconnect to that present moment. Number 2 is self regulation. Someone with a high EQ, emotional quotient, can manage their emotions before being fully triggered. So you can feel it coming. You can sense that you're getting tense and you're able to take action and lower your triggers. Somebody with a low EQ will blame others for outbursts of anger, anxiety, not noticing the triggers until it's unfortunately too late. So their brain is triggered into the survival mode. There's no effective self regulation tool for them yet, but we will do that, see that in a bit. And the third one is motivation. So a high EQ, they work hard towards their dreams and eventually make it happen, just like we do in Helpapedia, just like we do in many other aspects of our life. Somebody with a low EQ, they give up on their dream. Oh, it's too hard. It's not for them. They settle for an easier job, right? And we've seen that. We've seen brilliant people settling for another job. So, how can you be motivated if you have fears? It could be things that you were said, oh, you're never going to make it. You know how our beautiful family is really good. Oh, that's impossible. I've heard that one. Like I've heard it. I don't know how
Like,
many
why are
times.
you still doing that stupid business? Like, you're not still doing that, are you? Or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Walk up the hill. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What's your sentence you keep hearing, Phil, in your family or people that you know?
Yeah, so they'll share the challenges that the uphill battles, the the difficulty of just being successful immediately, and or even takes a long time. So there is that level of expectation to manage, and if you're not in front of that, it gets harder and harder. And so certainly I'm facing that as well in the challenges and tribulations of entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. So, even for something as simple as getting homework done for teens, right? Or little kids, um, there are so many strategies out there. And I think we can agree that impatience and frustrations are not motivating. You know?
And neither is yelling. I see
No,
this. There's a couple of people in my inner circle, and that's their first go-to modality. Why aren't you? You should. Just
exactly. Yeah.
calm.
What if you came up with, how can I help you? What do you need? You know, and because that person is yelling for a couple of reasons. It could be that they were raised in that kind of environment and they're reproducing that model, or it can be that they're at ends with and they have trauma around it and they're so afraid they're not that perfect parent that they're dumping that anxiety, unfortunately, onto their child. We see that with employers to employees and employees between each other. So it's very important that we, you know, that we be able to notice, what is it that I personally need to change? What are my hidden fears? And that's where the challenge becomes in this one, in the motivation, is the hidden fears that are there. So if you're blocking your ability to reach your dreams, self regulating your unconscious fear is a bit of a challenge, but it is possible. Number 4, empathy. So, somebody with a high EQ, they listen and ask how they can help their friend who is stressed with homework, even though they want to go to a party, right? Low EQ, they feel left out by their friend who wants to study instead of going to the party with them. So, it's a whole kind of mindset, right, Phil, that you were talking about with the empathy, not able to see the other aspect of the uh, of the situation. So that the fear of abandoning themselves is greater than the desire to help their friend, and they are often unconscious of it. They don't get up in the morning and they say, "Oh, when my friend comes and asks me for help for homework, I'm," they don't do that. It's not like, or today when my dad asks me to take the garbage out, I'm just going to have a fit. There's no way they're doing that, right?
It's very
We
in the
know.
moment, right?
Go ahead, Laura Lynn.
Right. It's very much in the moment because whatever other triggers and things and pressures. Maybe it is the pressure of being popular and being at that party. Maybe it is the pressure of, I have a lot of homework too, but I'm skipping it. And now that this person is showing a higher level of responsibility or work ethic, now I feel guilty or less than. And so that's putting pressure. And it's that whole thing, emotional self-regulation. Do you
Yeah,
act or do you think first?
exactly. And that's how the empathy is. So there's a disconnection from their heart, right? Because if they were aligned to their values, what's important to them, instead of showing up and looking awesome in the group and being the in person, right? And they were valuing friendship first, then it would be an easy decision. But who has showed them to really look at their value system, right? So, emotional quotient, intelligent, and there's often underlying trauma in there. And then number 5, the social skills. So here's somebody with a high EQ, emotional quotient. You're introduced to your friend's friend. You make them feel welcome. Somebody with a low EQ, you make jokes about the new friend and don't notice that you're making them uncomfortable. You even become defensive or irritated if asked to be nice, right? And I know that Laura Lynn has this amazing platform, steer.us, that teaches social skills. Do you want to say a few words on that, Laura Lynn?
Oh, thank you, Christine. It's your show, but that's just it. It all ties to it. There is a ton of content and information and things available out there, but you have to do the work. And I think it's really important to bring it back to the example of you, Christine, and how you started this show, where your own child said you weren't a dramatic mother, a drama llama. You were a neurotic nut, right? And so you said, "Oh, I should make some changes." And you've worked very, very hard to learn multiple disciplines, multiple ways of getting in touch with yourself, with your feelings, regulating, managing your health. You've done the work. And that's what makes you such an excellent practitioner now, is that you've gone through and come from the dark side,
Yeah.
worked your way through to this side where you're helping others. So I'm going to direct it back to you and continuing with your 7 ways to calmness.
So therefore, I just before we go, I still remember this grade 5 student I had who'd have temper tantrums. He knew what the rules were in the class, right? So sometimes you've been taught the social skills, but you're unable to implement them.
Mm.
It took me the whole year, and I didn't have the training that I have today. If I had the training I had today, I think it would have taken us a couple weeks and he'd been out of 10. But what happens is the brain gets stuck, because temper tantrum is the 2-year-old, maybe 1.5, 1-year-old, depends on the kid. He was stuck there. His architectural brain got stuck there, and he was unable to evolve to a higher EQ. And that's was his way of, he'd go straight into survival mode and have a temper tantrum, right? Because he couldn't express it, he couldn't do all this stuff. And at the same time, if we are disconnected to being in that moment, present, noticing that maybe we've got jealousy coming up, noticing that we have thoughts about anger that are, or sadness, that part of the brain that's triggered into survival mode, if we have a technique to bring us back to right now, then we can um, go back to 7 steps of inner calmness in seconds. So I created this technique, and it is the best one I've found so far. If somebody has another one, come and see me, having taught and implemented many strategies to help the students. They are very long-term strategies. They're not tomorrow I'm going to be able to just stand up and be myself. I'm not saying that doing these 7 steps will necessarily happen. It depends on the levels of trauma that you may have. But I'm saying that it's possible. And so integrating all these 5 components, and I did not know at the time I was doing that. I just sorry. So the first thing, you want to be present, right? I've mentioned it a couple times. So you can snap or you can clap if you can't snap. And then you can breathe into your lower belly. As you scan, number 3, scan your body, imagining you have X-ray vision. And number 4, notice where there's pain, tension, discomfort in your body. And then we tap on meridian points. And I love this point here, close to the heart, because there are very important meridian points here. And I believe that a lot of us here in the world in 2024 need to reconnect to our love, to our heart. And then we thank our body for showing us where it is that the tension is, with lots of gratitude and compassion. And we zap it out. I've come to discover, with seeing many children, adults, that having a container to put that in really helps them in the brain, helps the brain release it. So we'll do it again, and this time I want you to imagine that you're releasing it into a spiraling train. So the issues that you were having with the live stream earlier, Laurelyn, might be a great one too. They're gone by now. Yep.
They'll be back the next time I try to restream, but there you go. Yep.
So what if, okay, so I'm going to challenge you on this one. What if you imagine it where you were a few minutes ago, okay, and release that, and see if next time you go on, it works better. This is what I have noticed in implementing the technique when you are calm, not in the moment. It's hard. You've got to train yourself to be able to go, and then breathe in. Number 2, into your lower belly if you can. If you can't, just breathe into your chest. Scan your body, imagining you have X-ray vision. Number 4, notice pain, tension, discomfort. Relax the shoulders as you tap on the meridian point of your choice. And today we're just doing here. Thank your body for showing you where the pain is, with lots of gratitude and compassion. And let's just zap that onto the spiraling train that will burn that in the magma of the planet. It just has a deeper layer to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially if you have a vivid imagination like I do. You want to see fire and brimstone and things just like, being torched, right? It's good.
So that's why I created this in a 2D video animation, so that kids who do not have that vivid imagination, because there are some, we don't all have the same brains, they can see it and then they can do it with the image, and that really helps them. So now we'll do it with the hot air balloon. So ready? Step 1, snap, breathe in to your lower belly, scan your body. Notice the tension or discomfort as you tap on your meridian point. Thank your body for showing you where the pain is, with lots of gratitude and compassion for yourself. And zap that onto the hot air balloon. And sometimes the train is better, sometimes the hot air is better, hot air balloon, and sometimes both is what's best. So now when you think of when you were getting ready for the live stream, Laurelyn, are you able to imagine it going with a beautiful flow now? Or do you still have tension around that?
Well, I can now because everything's all running tickety-boo. So we're all calm. You have a calming presence. Phil has a calming presence. We're learning about how to stay calm. So, of course, I can't be amped. But I know myself, the second that the technology blows up, especially when I've learned it and I thought I had achieved mastery, and then they update the software. I'm like, what do you mean? And then nothing works the same. Of course, I go 0 to 10 in a second, especially knowing you're live. And so, but what I will do, because you've challenged me and I accept the challenge, that I will think, no, Stay calm. Focus on what you can do. Why is that happening? How do you undo it and unfrig it and make it work without being so you're come onto the show not flushed and just ready.
And if you snap, you know, it only takes 9 seconds to scan your body. Notice where it is as you tap and you thank your body and you release it. So you can do that while it's going rah, you know, instead of the raw. But then the thing is, the calmer you're able to be, the healthier your body is as well. So, um, so you can see how the self-awareness, the self-regulation, the motivation, the empathy, and the social skills can all be improved with the snap tap sap for kids and teens, because kids who learn this at a very young age can easily implement it on their own or with their parents would be amazing. Can you be at a meeting and instead of tapping here, you can tap on your fingertips under your desk while you've got that employee or employer that gives you a headache every time and asks you things that you know is like, what, where are you again? And you can't, you know, if your brain is going into trauma mode, how can you listen to what you're being asked to do? You can't. And that's the challenge in communication. But if you can just be there and breathing in and noticing and releasing while they're talking to you, and then reframing it, and this is what I understood, is this what you wanted? And then you can say, oh, yes or no. But then you've raised your EQ because you're able to be present, you're able to be in the moment. So I challenge everyone to give it a go and try it out. It's worth trying it out. Before bed is the best time to implement this with kids and for yourself so that you get rid of the day's load worries so that you can sleep peacefully. In the morning, start with it. If you're not waking up in a good mood and say, hey, what a beautiful day, whether it's raining or sunny, and you're like, what if you just put that emotion onto the spiraling train or the hot air balloon? What will change for you? Will that calm your amygdala down? And sometimes we're grumpy because we were raised in a grumpy family, right? Everybody's grumpy and they grumble all the time, or we've got this special uncle or aunt, or we've got, you know, it doesn't matter. The point is, we don't need to take on these role models. We can say thanks, but no thanks. I don't want your stuff anymore. And it comes back to what Phil said about the mindset, right? It's a mindset to get up grumpy. So why not shift it so that you can wake up and you can put that intention at night? Oh, I want to sleep peacefully and wake up rested, ready to roll in a good mood. And you do it until you can attain that.
So, wonderful advice, Christine. I thank you. So I have to jump off for a client at 3:30. And so I just wanted to share with you the thinking process of when do you not be calm? Like when is that ever an option that should be considered? And or is it always to be calm in every situation and scenario? And so I'll let you leave off on that. You guys can discuss them among yourselves.
Thank you, Phil.
I'll talk
Yes.
to you
Thank
soon.
you, Phil. Take
Great job,
care.
Christine.
Yes. So when do you not want to be calm? Well, I can turn that question around and say, isn't it better to stay calm and be in an awesome mindset where you can just be present, and instead of what will it do to scream at someone? Does it really help? I know there are people, and I've had many parents tell me that it's the only way I get them to listen. I've seen many teachers scream at their kids. It's the only way I could get them to calm down. So, what if the first day of school you get them used to, by the time you're at 0, they're all calm in the class, and they'll try, and you're like, let's try that again. Wasn't that noisy? And then you can do it again. And then once you see it, you just go like this. So as soon as everybody's doing that, they know to look at me, they know to see what the cues are, and you're using visual cues in your classroom instead of yelling at the kids. And everybody has a better day. So
I think so too. Even you can think about, well, what about those situations of fight or flight? Right?
mhm,
So that should you stay calm or should you be amped? Well, no, I think even in those situations, you need to be calm so that you can really assess the situation. Do it in the best way that you can, be as analytical as you can be, because the move that you make may have negative consequences. So you need to think through it clearly and rationally. And so bring yourself to that level of calm and say, do I need to act? What do I need to do? Well, this is happening. This is happening. What if that happens? I do this, then this. What are those consequences? Situational analysis. And just, no, I had better freaking run because that's a really big bear with really big teeth. And so, right, or whatever it is, right?
exactly. And it's tuning in to our gut feeling, right? If we're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, we're in trauma mode.
Right.
That's the bottom line. So you don't want to be there because your prefrontal cortex is unable to function. It's unable to logically function because your amygdala, that part of the brain that's wired to send you into the survival mode, is in full blown, and
Panic.
there's no room for the calm, collected, and grounded person that you are. And that's how, when there's a fear, when you make a decision, you can ask yourself, what's the fear behind this? Is there a fear behind this? And do your best to be honest about it. If there's a fear of not performing with your business, if there's a fear of, there's so many different fears that can come up. Sometimes we cannot see them, but our loved ones can, and they can be that mirror that we need. And we can ask family members to help us. Why not? I remember way back when I used to flip every morning because things weren't ready on time. And I said to my daughter, I can't do this anymore. I said, can you give me a hug when you see me starting?
Mm.
And, it wasn't the snap, tap, zap because I hadn't created yet and I didn't know it yet. However, a hug would just bring me back. Woo. And then I'd say, oh, I'm so sorry. I did it again. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the hug. Let's continue our morning focused and get out there and get to work on time. So that's another way that you can use your help. Or you can just have the parent can just start snap, breathing in as they scan their own reaction to the child reacting. They bring their laundry down and they're complaining about the basket. It's the white one instead of the green one, and it's not theirs, and they're yelling at you.
Yeah, right.
So but the thing is that we don't realize as parents, is there trauma behind that? Is it coming out all crooked, the wrong way, that they're taking it out on the basket? Thank goodness it's not me. But at the same time, you're like, who cares if the basket's green or white? It doesn't matter. Today, with hindsight, knowing what had happened back then, my daughter was in trauma mode.
Mhm.
But it was coming out that way, and she could not express it to me because she had too much shame, because she was part of the problem that had happened. She had made a decision as well. But anyway, it's a big story, but we don't always realize the traumas our kids are going through at school and when they go to friends' places. And we need to look at and sit down with them and say, hey, can we talk? Are you ready to talk? Let's do the snap. Breathe, scan, notice, tap, thank your body, and zap so that you can bring the fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode down so that you can feel safe telling your parent. And a kid can say, okay, I'll tell you, but you're not allowed to. not allowed to scream, you're not allowed to do this, whatever it is that they're afraid their parent will do. And that's another way that you can teach your kids to feel safe with you no matter what they tell you. And it's very important. And I can guarantee you, you as a parent will need to self regulate so that you don't want to strangle that other kid's neck or, you know, because what they did wasn't okay, or but how can you get into proactive and what can change, you know, so that it's better. So when we are calm to answer Phil's question, so much better because we're in our prefrontal cortex and we can look at all the data and we can analyze it and we can go forward with it.
And that's exactly it. So, with that, folks who want to have Christine's support and learn more of her techniques and also benefit from them, you can go to christinebernat.com, and I'm going to put this in the chat so that everybody can see it here. And let me put that in, christinebernat.com. You can also find Christine on Helpopedia and the Hub for Help. You can see her content and courses. She has some wonderful things, such as the cell phone agreement. So how do you negotiate an agreement with your teen or with your child? She has 2 flavors on having those rules and boundaries around cell phone usage so you can try to take a preemptive strike to what could happen when you take the phone away or whatever else. You're saying, hey, these are the rules. You get the phone if you follow these rules. You don't follow the rules, the phone goes away.
Yeah. And it's not about being nice or not nice. It's about implementing what you said you would. And in that process, you're teaching your child to follow through in what they say because you're following through in what you say. And what a beautiful example to leave your child with that in life.
It's just it. And it's also, it's learning consequences. It's all of these things. It's such a key thing. Christine also has a wonderful course and program related to the whole homework refusal thing. And so that's something you can be looking for as well. So again, we've got Christine's link here on the show, plus it's listed in the show description. If you need any help navigating things that are a little out of control and to find that calm and inner peace so you can move forward in a way that is more conducive to getting the outcomes you want for you and your child, please look up christinebernat.com.
Thank you, Laura Lynn. It was amazing to spend time with you here.
Always is. You always teach so many things. And I always feel so much calmer after. Everybody that knows me, I'm like amped. And then Christine makes me calm. And I appreciate you being here. I know how sick you've been and really under the weather. And you're an absolute trooper for coming here and sharing with everybody today how to just find calm, navigate it all, and just work towards something better.
Thank you.
And I'm going to use the hot air balloon one more, even though at first when you said it, I was thinking like strike it down and have it blow up and go down in flames. But no, toward the goal of calm and Zen. I don't like the spiraling train and the heat and the intensity. I like putting it onto the balloon and I let it just blow up to the clouds and it gets taken away from me. I like that.
Beautiful.
I can use that one now.
Yeah, and there is another one that I have found that women really, really like is the incinerator. They love putting their anger in an incinerator and seeing it burn.
Especially when it gets all choked.
Yeah, whatever helps your, helps you. Yeah, and my program for kids for classroom is all ready to go. And so just write to me the snap, how to become the superhero of your emotions. So imagine giving your kids this opportunity that you didn't have, right? Our parents didn't teach us how to be the superhero of our emotions. Like there's no way they didn't know. So be a leader in your family and lead them to learn self-regulation so that they can raise their EQ. And when you raise your EQ, and so many studies have been done on this, your emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, you are more successful in life. Life doesn't seem dreary and desperate and hopeless, and you know so, and people can join me on LinkedIn, and I do a Hope and Beyond event that's completely free for people who want to see what that looks like to work with me. Gives you that opportunity.
Excellent. Well, there you have it. Christine, you know how to find her. Christine, recover quickly. And thank you, as always, for being such a huge supporter of Helpopedia and all of the people that have come through our path. You can also join Christine as the host of the weekly chapter meeting on well-being for Helpopedia. That's Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, anybody has questions, DM us. We can send you links.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Laura Lou.
Get better.